Welcome to Didactics with David Lopez. I haven't posted a video in a while for obvious reasons, things that are affecting a lot of people worldwide, probably know what I'm talking about. But thank you guys for subscribing and still continuing to watch my videos and reach out to me. I've had a lot of people reach out to me for this very question I'm about to answer today. It's probably one of the most asked questions. And when I started this channel, I really didn't think anyone was gonna ever watch. And I really do appreciate everyone that does watch and does reach out. I didn't have any idea that so many people worldwide were looking at my videos. So one of the most asked questions I get is, how can I get set up to accept credit cards in the US even though I'm outside of the US? Well, I'm gonna go ahead and just tell you it's pretty much impossible. But before, I kind of go through options that you could have or potentially can get to actually accomplish this, I'm gonna just try to go over the reasons why you can't get a merchant account set up in the US if you're not a US citizen or you don't have a US social security number. Back before 9/11 and the attacks that happened in our country, if you were a non-US citizen and you set up a legally based US business or LLC, it was much easier for you to get a merchant account back then. It was much easier for you to get many financial institutions to work with you and services such as bank accounts, merchant accounts, etc. However, that changed with 9/11 and the Patriot Act, and the IRS and many other legal entities required that forms of identification and being able to know who you were working with and having that on file was needed. So I'm gonna just kind of go over a few of the things that were stated and made with the Patriot Act so that you can get a better understanding of why it is. A social security number is specifically mandated to get a merchant account. The U.S. Patriot Act requires financial institutions to create and mandate procedures to verify identity, and the social security number is a tool universally chosen to do that. Your alternative options include finding a U.S. partner. I'll get more into that later. Business owners that don't have a social security number can open up a bank account, get a driver's license, and get a business license. When it comes to getting a merchant account, however, without a social security number, it seems an impossible task. Why all the fuss? Well, when you apply for a new personal credit card, issuing banks will check your personal credit score in order to determine if you're a good candidate for the card. They will evaluate your credit history, credit usage, and a few other things to decide if they'll issue you a new line of credit. Many merchant processing companies have a predetermined algorithm stating that each business is worth a set amount of money to their company. To the processor, the reward, money you pay them and to accept payments, has to be worth the risk. If they decide to give a merchant account without someone's social security numbers to the business owner, they may be asking them to pay extra upfront or double the processing fees. It's all about risk mitigation and be able to get approved for a U.S. merchant account. However, these days are long gone. The reason is because if you have a U.S. social security number, we're able to run a background check to make sure that you're not involved with or have a criminal history of things like money laundering. Obviously, the more extreme case would be someone who is considered to be a terrorist, and I don't want YouTube to obviously catch that phrase in my video and somehow derank it or whatever. But that's the reason why, is that there was obviously people that meant harm to the country. And, if they're an outside foreign entity and they're trying to set up a merchant account to process credit card transactions here in the US and then funnel the money back to another country, that obviously poses a lot of security issues. So to this day, this still applies, because even then, if we're a credit card processing company and we set you up to accept credit cards with us and you don't have a social security number and you're not a US citizen, legally it's very hard to go after you if something were to go wrong. If, for instance, if you were to set up a business to sell products that you were drop shipping from China, and then all of a sudden, because some pandemic or something crazy happens, the Chinese distribution company now is shut down, you have all these orders that are pending, and as you know, some of these orders take weeks to fulfill. Well, then all of a sudden now all these chargebacks roll in, and now you're on the hook for potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars. Well, if you were to just shut off your account and basically stop responding to us, you now owe us a bunch of money, because we have to pay your customers the money that they're now asking their credit card company for. We're on the financial hook for those transactions. So for us to be able to legally go after you and sue you to try to get our money from you, it's hard enough to do that to a U.S. citizen and then go after them and garnish their wages and have the courts go after them. It's very difficult for that to happen even if you're in the U.S., let alone if you're in another country. If you're in another country and you owe us hundreds of thousands of dollars, it's very difficult to go through the legal process of getting someone to pay us the money they owe us. So that's a very, very big risk that people take if they're setting you up to accept credit cards in the US and you have no social security number. You're not a citizen, you don't have any real legal ramifications for anything that might go wrong, as far as we're concerned, in order to protect our risk. Another reason why it's even harder to get a merchant account after the Patriot Act was instated is that most people getting a merchant account that did not have a social security number in the US were actually living here. Now that the internet has become what it's become since 9/11 and the Patriot Act, a lot of people outside the US are trying to get set up to accept credit cards because it's easy now to run a business overseas in the US and accept payments. So the influx of people trying to get these accounts that don't even live here is a lot. And so that's another reason why it's very difficult, is because you're probably not even in the US. Before 9/11, the internet wasn't as prominent. Most people that didn't have a social security number that were trying to get set up with a merchant account were at least physically present in the US, and therefore the risk was was much lower to get an account set up for you. Now I'm going to quickly go over some quick solutions that you can have to get this set up. They're not easy to do, and most people aren't able to accomplish them, but maybe you are. One thing you can do is get somebody as a partner that is a US citizen, or at least someone that has a US social security number, and you have to give them more than 50% ownership, and they have to have sign-off authority on the company. So that's obviously a difficult thing to do. Even if you have someone in the US that is a citizen that has a social security number, you might not want to give them 51% of your company. So that's obviously something you're going to have to try to tackle if you even have that as an option. Another option is an ITIN. An ITIN is basically an individual tax ID identification number. Those are very easy to get if you're a Canadian citizen and you want to do business in the US and you want to set up a US merchant account. It's much easier to do that if you're a Canadian merchant. I've actually worked with a few that had that. It's just because of the treaty that we have with Canada. For some reason, it seems that it's much easier. Or if you're living in the US, but you're not necessarily documented, a lot of people that have that status in the US, they're undocumented, they are still able to get ITINs so that they can still pay taxes off their wage. The IRS specifically made that an option for the people that in our country that have that status. If you have one of those, I believe you can get set up to accept credit cards with one of those, but it's not guaranteed. There's still a lot of risk involved. We have to evaluate everything, your business type. We have to, see your financial statements. There's a lot of things that you might have to provide, even if you have an ITIN, regardless if you're in Canada or in the US. So those are two options that I know do work. Again, it's not very easy. I really do apologize. A lot of you guys, contact me from outside of the US and Canada, and I appreciate you guys watching. So regardless, if you end up watching this and you've seen one of my other videos, or maybe you've contacted me and I kind of point you to this video so, you get a more in-depth detailed explanation on why that is that you can't get it. I'm gonna go ahead and say thank you for watching regardless. Hopefully you still get some value out of this. So again, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please hit the like button if you found this valuable. Please be sure to subscribe. If you have any questions, you do want to reach out to me, below is my contact info as always. And thank you so much. May you have a wonderful 2020, and I will have some more videos coming up shortly. Thanks again for watching.